What internet marketing expert should you spend your valuable time listening to? Listen to someone who has over 20 years of web marketing experience and hundreds of website marketing success stories. That man is Aaron Sparks from Site Strategics. And this is Edge of the Web Radio.
Hey, I tell you what, we are continuing our discussion with VP of Product Platforms at Swipp, Christopher Carfi. How you doing, sir? Thank you for staying over the break there.
Oh, thank you again for the conversation. This is great.
Excellent.
Chris, I've got a question for you. You know, we've talked a lot about sentiment and intent and what Swipp can do for a company. From a broader sense, let's say for a small to medium-sized company, because I think this is a good thing too, is a smaller company isn't necessarily going to send a poll out or even have the resources for that, where they could with Swipp do it quite easily. What are the benefits to a company? You know, why should a company start today on collecting the information and collecting how people feel about their products and services? What kind of stories can you tell from companies that are seeing the data and then making changes with the data and then seeing, you know, results after that?
Yeah, there are a few reasons why. Number one is just understanding really at that aggregate level how the company is doing from the customer's perspective. Since ultimately that's really the only perspective that matters. It's like the old, when Ed Koch was mayor of New York, he walked around every day asking people, how am I doing? It's really kind of that same sort of thing. So I think, just from a general making sure that the organization is on the right track is part of that. There are a couple of other parts that are relevant as well. One is that when there are new opportunities to bring out new products, bring out new features, if it's a software product or a product that evolves over time, being able to get that sentiment on those things in real time is very, very useful. As we had talked about briefly in the previous segment, being able to see how things are tracking over time is important, because if something changes from the way it had been or what you would expect, you need to do a little bit of diving to see what might be causing that change in the customer base. And then the third one is that if there are individuals who are customers who are really, really impassioned with the brand, really, really impassioned with the product, those are folks who you may want to not just know that, but also further reach out to them and bring them into some sort of marketing advocacy program, because those are the folks who have overtly said, yes, I love your brand, I love your product, I love what you guys are doing. They have already started to show that kind of advocate-oriented behavior, so using that as the impetus to go out to those folks and start bringing them into an advocate program where they can go out and advocate on behalf of the brand, defend the brand if somebody is speaking poorly of it. Those are a couple of the different places where really an organization of any size can use this type of sentiment data.
And where can people find it? And maybe you can start by, obviously you've got the B2C, kind of the free version of Swipp that people can go down the mobile app right now, and then maybe talk about the business offering and what are the differences between it.
Yeah, certainly. So there are really three main pillars that grow from the overall platform that we built. One is the free consumer app. The second is available at business.swipp.com, and going there is the ability to self-sign up for Swipp. And what happens once an organization has done that is they can start to track their own terms, whether it's brand terms or industry terms or even competitive terms, to understand what the sentiment is around those, as well as start to generate their own, we call them Swipp widgets, that are just small little lines of code that can be embedded into various web properties. So we've seen folks embedding them in web pages. We've seen folks embedding them in blogs. We're going to see some other capabilities coming online of other types of customer touchpoints where they can embed Swipp as well over the next few weeks and months. So the second major part is available at business.swipp.com. And as noted earlier in the conversation, everything that we do is API-based. It's very, very developer-friendly, and we will be launching a developer program later on this year as well. So between the consumer, the commercial, and the developer sides, regardless of how an organization wants to integrate this sort of sentiment understanding and the sentiment graph into what they are doing in their marketing efforts, we have various different ways to enable companies to do that.
Quick question, Chris. The reporting tools that you provide to businesses, tying that into their own web content, what type of map, what type of categorization can you provide them?
So as far as, there are a couple different questions in there. So as far as the type of information that's coming out and reporting, we are reporting every time someone expresses sentiment in any of these Swipp channels, be it from the web or through the consumer app or what have you. And so we have a record every time somebody puts a Swipp out of what the value was, -5 to +5, what the particular topic was that they were swipping, the time that it was done, as well as things like geolocation and such from information that's been shared. So we've got all of that information there. At the outset, it's very easy to show that information, for example, on maps and such, or if you wanted a more atomic format in a file that you could integrate with other things and see trends from other parts of the analytics that you might be doing outside of the sentiment realm, we're able to provide that data as well. As far as the way the topics work, everything in Swipp is tied to a particular topic, and so we don't have that ambiguity problem that the pure text-based types of sentiment approaches do. So if somebody is swipping Springfield, we know whether it is the city or if it is the firearm, for example.
Oh wow, that's amazing. The data is going to keep on building as well. That's the great intuitive design of Swipp as well.
Yeah, it's dimensional, right? You know,
Absolutely.
you've got time, you've got geography, you've got all these aspects of it instead of just it boggles the mind when you start to think about how you could utilize it and how you could leverage it.
Very good. Well, we just wanted to thank you, Chris, for joining us on the show. Be sure to download Swipp. It's a free application. That's on the Google and the iOS network, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
And you can always find them at swipp.com. Look them up. This is a burgeoning company here. It's fantastic.
Look up the business offering at business.swipp.com.
Excellent.